TSL4. We are here on Ohana, starting off in the bottom right as the red Protoss. We have NaNiwa. His opponent, I believe he was the 31st seed, just barely making the cut. In the top left, Dignitas.JonnyREcco.
DJ Recco, his new nickname.
Nice.
Here at the TSL. Ohana, though, is a two-play map, of course. A nice, small two-play map, which I think that, especially in game number 1, despite it being a small map, I think we're actually going to see more of a macro-focused game. In a best of whatever series, usually in game number 1, and how patterns develop, is people come to the table with what they can offer in terms of skill, in terms of macro, and then we'll start to differentiate depending on how game 1 goes down here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually saw quite a long game here.
And NaNiwa has kind of evolved the foreign PvZ scene significantly lately, doing things like Forgeless Fast Expands, doing one gate in his main into expansion, and we can see yet again putting that pylon behind his mineral line, so not going to do any sort of forge block off expansion here. Now going for a relatively quick scout, looking in JonnyREcco's main. No pull yet, but he's only at 14 supplies, so I'll have to keep an eye on if he's looking for that hatch first or going to play it a little bit safer.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of standard opening here for JonnyREcco is going to be 15 spawning pool into hatchery, pretty much immediately on 15 once again, and then try a third base. But in this game here, with the gateway coming down, which is kind of the two styles NaNiwa plays, it's either going to be like a Forge Expand into a slow sentry focused third base, or something a bit crazy like this by going gateway, which basically it rushes out the warp gate timing, so he could tech faster and he could also attack faster too. And upon JonnyREcco eventually scouting it with the Overlord, he immediately actually has to take gas to prepare in case there is any form of aggression early on.
Right, before speed gets out, those stalkers from NaNiwa can be extremely annoying. He's now completed the gateway, getting into the main base of JonnyREcco, realizes he doesn't need a zealot, so going to go cybernetic score right away. He's got 3 on the gas right away, so I'm going to be interested to see how he follows that up. No signs of expansion yet. We'll have to see how aggressive he gets in this early game before moving on. JonnyREcco now pulling 2 drones to try to take down that pylon. I'm not sure that's absolutely necessary. He obviously wants to get that down as soon as possible, but losing a little bit of mining time here with these 2 drones.
Yeah, indeed he is, and the pylon will eventually go down here, but I'm very interested in what we're seeing from NaNiwa. He didn't actually get the Zealot initially, but he has gotten it eventually here. And that just means the Cybernetic cores come down a little bit faster here. He does have 50 Chrono Boost in his bank, but he wouldn't really want to use it in the Cybernetic core. We're most likely going to be seeing like a 26 Nexus come down, and then after that, all the Chrono Boost saved up will then go into his Nexus so he can actually replenish the probes he has not built now, or you could say technically lost because he did cut corners to get stuff out faster here, to then really power his economy in the mid stages.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see after losing that pylon, he's only got just enough supply for a sentry, actually now canceling the sentry after putting down that Nexus, deciding that he doesn't need it, going to cut corners even a little bit more, starting that warp gate, and, you know, really lean build here to get this expansion up. And I'm not sure if this is something JonnyREcco has a lot of experience playing. It's obviously something NaNiwa has done time and time again against Zerg. So NaNiwa is going to have a bit of an advantage in the comfort going into the mid game.
Yeah, and bringing back the point you opened up with the show today is that JonnyREcco's most likely researched NaNiwa. NaNiwa played in the WCS yesterday. He played in the IES qualifier the day before. But hold that thought, 3 Lings actually going to bring down that probe, and that lack of sentry that you talked about before is hurting NaNiwa. As 3 Lings make their way in, they're going to scout. They could potentially pick up probes here. This is a big deal already.
Got that sentry out, going to drive the Lings back, but the Lings going to get a full scout, going to go in and see only 1 gateway. I don't believe they saw the Twilight Council. Looking at JonnyREcco's vision, no they didn't. Going for some harassment, trying to take down that probe, but it's going to get pulled away, and it's actually going to get taken down. But he could have done a little bit better with the scouting. Now trying to run by and getting shut down, so not as much done with those Lings. Yes, it's a hassle getting it in, but he didn't get the full benefit of scouting he would have liked in there.
Absolutely. Would have liked to check the second gas as well, and then also find out where everything is put down, because everything's actually smartly hidden by NaNiwa at the back of his base. And going back to, as I was saying before, is that JonnyREcco would have prepared for this matchup, absolutely, compared to his opponent. JonnyREcco would have watched replays, and he may have seen this build because NaNiwa's used it recently. He goes for the Twilight Council straight into Dark Templar, and then will look for a slower a decently fast third base behind the DTs. So let's see how efficient this is going to be, and if his opponent can actually get any information on the DTs coming out.
And NaNiwa scouts with that Zealot, so he has intimate timing, or intimate knowledge of the timing of that third base. He knows exactly where JonnyREcco is in terms of his build order. And JonnyREcco, no layer here. Dark Shine at about 50%. He's now adding a Roach Warren, and he's going to have that Evolution Chamber. But here in Ohana, they're quite a bit spread out. Looks like some Lings trying to scout the main base, so they don't see a ton of units, and they actually see a cannon. So the lack of units there and the defensive posture may JonnyREcco onto, just give him that little hint he needs to know that some fast tech is coming. I'm worried that he's not going to have any sort of detection whatsoever at his third.
Zerg players don't really experience DTs very often anymore, so the Spore Crawlers sometimes is kind of skipped, which we're seeing now. Usually the layer can come out at a decent time to have an Overseer, but the timing of this Dark Shrine is way before anything. So NaNiwa, if he sends out units immediately, he could do damage fast, but he's actually keeping them in his main base here to use with the Warp Prism. So he's basically saying, well, a good Zerg player should have a Spore Crawler down. You can't just walk the DTs in, and if I do that, I reveal everything. So he's actually going to wait just for, he's basically sacrificing the speed of the attack by getting more potential damage dealt if he lands this in the main base correctly.
Absolutely. Looking at JonnyREcco's vision, he's got control of those watchtowers, so he's looking for the Warp Prism, but the Warp Prism is threading the needle, flying right past, right in between, the Overlords and those watchtowers, as you would expect NaNiwa, a great player, would be able to do. Gonna put in a phasing mode, warp in 2 more DTs, and then drop it in the main base. Layer is complete. Are there any Overseers out? Let's take a look at the units tab. No, not yet. I'm getting a little bit worried here, Apollo, for JonnyREcco.
Yeah, he could actually snipe the layer. He's got 4 DTs, and that's going to do a lot of damage really fast here. So let's see how NaNiwa's actually going to take this approach. An Overlord has seen it, though, and he needs to make an Overseer immediately. But there's actually no Overlords. The spread has been so good, there's no Overlords anywhere close.
Oh my god, no Overseer on the way. He's going straight for the lair, as you mentioned. Overseer is being made right in the main base. He's trying to take down that lair. This is going to be huge if he's able to take it down. Working on it. He's got to finish it off, and no, it's not even close. He's going to take it down easily. JonnyREcco on the back foot, NaNiwa capitalizing on this, looking to take his third base. The damage has been done. He actually gets out of there with 2 DTs, dropping 1 more in the base, trying to take out the Queen and go over to the natural. Huge damage here done in game number 1 by NaNiwa.
And the DT does escape from the Warp Prism, but it is picked up immediately. There's another one in the main base, though, getting free drone kills. There's no defense there. There's no Overseer, so it is visible, but it's getting damage dealt down. It'll even pick off this Queen if nothing comes to help. And, it just nearly escapes there, just about with that Queen. But the problem for NaNiwa is, because they're going for DTs, he doesn't have that many units. He doesn't have that many sentries. Look at the sentry count. It's only at 1. He's got full energy on it, but he actually starts to need more sentries, because one thing that JonnyREcco doesn't have is tech, sure, but he's damn sure got 3 hatcheries down, and he's got a lot of units out. NaNiwa has to hold on to this third base, otherwise, what does this really accomplish?
Right, and NaNiwa is prepared for this Roach counterattack. The majority of his army is Immortals. He's got a few sentries to supplement that, and here comes the attack on the third. JonnyREcco focused on that Nexus, trying to take it down. Immortals trying to get in, and the Lings are surrounding. Force fields are good, but a few Roaches get in there. Lings not surrounding the Immortals fully, and it looks like the Roaches are preoccupied trying to take down that Nexus. Yes, they are successful, and one of the Immortals going down, and NaNiwa is actually driven back into his main, so a great counterattack there by JonnyREcco. Meanwhile, rebuilding the hatchery in his main base, rebuilding his 4th hatchery. This is what he needs to do. Give up his tech to just go on that macro blitz mode. Supplies really not favoring him yet, but give it a minute or 2 and he's going to bust full force.
Yeah, that was actually the perfect response by JonnyREcco to do that, or DJREcco, should I say. That was the perfect response. NaNiwa didn't quite deal with it, in the ideal way that this was planned out to be. The DT was meant to take down the layer, and in NaNiwa's head, he was meant to hold on to that and then just maintain a lead into the, the 13, 14, 15 minute mark. But losing the Nexus and losing units as well, that's a big deal here. And now the game is almost reset into an equal stance once again due to JonnyREcco pulling that off.
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of transposed back to what you could see in a normal game. We've got a ton of gateways going up in the main, so 4 more added on there. We've got an Overseer for JonnyREcco scouting the main base. He sees that the Dark Shrine is complete, but hasn't found a Templar archives. Of course, there's a Robo. He's seen the Immortals, but no support bay thus far. 4th base has completed for JonnyREcco. His creep spread, he's been pressed once he lost that layer. Doesn't have too many extra queens out. Spreading that creep, so his creep spread leaves something to be desired, but with that quick 4th base up, he could max out and go for that third base attack quite quickly yet again.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, though, the Observer in the main base is going to get taken out before it spots the Infestors on the way, or Spire. So NaNiwa's technically in the dark. He doesn't know what he's playing against. And right now, his army's incredibly weak against Ling Infestor. He didn't see the Hive or where the Lay had been put down, so he actually doesn't know if his opponent has a very heavy mid-game strong army, or he's got a weak small army trying to prepare for a fast Hive. So with NaNiwa playing in the dark, this actually becomes a really difficult scenario for him. What does he do here? Where does he try to attack? Does he try to slowly take a fourth base? Does he launch an attack in the dark? And it looks like he is going to with the finishing of +2 attack. NaNiwa's moving out. He has a lot of immortals, but against the 6 infestors that popped out and the 6 potential fungal growths, this could be dangerous for NaNiwa.
Yeah, Warp Prism supporting it, so he'll be able to be mobile and warp in everywhere he goes. He's spotted that army, that Ling heavy army, moving back and forth. I'm not sure JonnyREcco wants a fight here, as he's trying to get that Hive up fairly quickly in the Spire, obviously eyeing the endgame Broodlords. NaNiwa has secured his third now. He's fully mining there and looking to press forward. He doesn't want to let JonnyREcco get up to those scary Broodlords. JonnyREcco trying to hold it as natural here, throwing up a couple Spine Crawlers just to supplement at the top of the ramp, and we may have a battle here.
We may have indeed, and NaNiwa's at 2-0. The Ling upgrades are really poor, actually. They're only at +1 carapace. Great force fields, great split so far from NaNiwa, and he's going to have to maintain these force fields from behind us. Looks like JonnyREcco coming from all angles, but look how clumped up NaNiwa is. The fungals are insane.
Oh my god, and Ling's getting right up there. It's almost down to only Immortals, and the Spine Curl is finishing. NaNiwa trying to blink back and get away from here. Are there fungals? Yes, oh my god, several fungals as the Roach Infestor army is continuing to press forward. NaNiwa loads up an Immortal, actually gets fungal, forced to drop that out, and that's going to get sniped back, and JonnyREcco has told NaNiwa, go back home. I've gotten up to Hive Tech, and now you need to prepare yourself for the follow-up attack.
Yeah, and he has to prepare himself for the forward attack, and he also has to prepare himself for the Greatest Spire, which is on the way. NaNiwa hasn't got the weapons necessary to deal with the Greatest Spire. He doesn't really have that many units to defend against this counterattack either. The Warp Prism fell, he lost a lot of units, and I think the units lost time tells a big story here. That should actually be reverted. That isn't the way it needs to look in a Protoss versus Zerg. NaNiwa losing double what JonnyREcco has lost so far in this game.
Absolutely, and JonnyREcco has had full control over that fourth base for the entire mid-game. He's never felt any pressure on that. He actually moved all the Spine Crawlers from his fourth back to his choke, and that means he's going to be able to take this top left base as a follow-up very easily once he gets the Broodlords out. NaNiwa trying to respond by taking his fourth at the bottom left here on the high ground, but that's fairly easily sieged from the outside once the Broodlords get out. JonnyREcco trying to spread his creep so he can control, but that's the one thing that's kind of missing from his game here. A little bit of creep spread, and wow, looks like this fourth is going to be shut down.
And if that fourth base gets shut down, that's the access to the fifth and sixth. Oh, sorry, the sixth and seventh gas. Or oh my god, I'm messing up my numbers crazy. The seventh and eighth gas, and that's actually needed to get a Stargate down. That's needed to get the fleet beacon and the potential mothership. So right now, NaNiwa is not allowed to tech up to tier 4, you could say, and he's only stuck on Immortal Blink Stalkers again. He will have +3 attack in a few seconds, but how is he actually meant to deal with Broodlords, which are now morphing? Even Nora Parasite is being researched here, so that the Infestors could even grab the Immortals that are the key strength of NaNiwa's army. And NaNiwa is facing defeat in game number 1 if he doesn't pull something out of the bag soon.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane if he's able to hold this off. Tons of Broodlords being morphed. He's going up to 6 now, a few Corruptors left over. And JonnyREcco is maxed out, so I'm always interested to see when the Zerg player maxes out. Is he going to attack right now, or is he going to sit on his economy and wait for the 200 versus 200 and then go for the remax strategy? Both are viable, just depends what he wants to go on, and looks like he's moving forward for a fight.
And indeed it is. Great fungals there by JonnyREcco once again, and now DJREcco with the Broodlords raining down the damage.
Oh, wow.
The anti-air is actually falling, and this looks like a very, very one-sided fight here as JonnyREcco comes out with, once again, almost 0 losses, aside from Lings, which are almost pointless at this stage of the game. And now NaNiwa is on the back foot and has to call the GG.
Wow!